Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Jennifer Meckles. Tonight, Denver police are investigating after 3 of their officers shot and killed a woman they say came toward officers with a knife. Police were first called out around 11:45 this morning on reports of a woman standing in the busy intersection of Broadway and Lawrence near Samaritan House in downtown Denver. They say she was armed with a knife. 9 News reporter Rachel Krause has been following this story throughout the day for us. Police tell us, Rachel, that they tried to de-escalate the situation and then it turned deadly.
Yeah, Jenny, Denver police tell me that once officers responded, they tried to get the woman to drop the knife, first telling her, then tasing her. But when she came at officers, they shot her. For hours this afternoon, police kept the busy downtown intersection at Broadway and Lawrence shut down as police gathered evidence and spoke to witnesses about what happened. They say this all started when both a Denver park ranger and a passerby called 911, reporting a woman standing in the middle of the road with a very large hunting-style knife. Officers arrived just minutes after those calls came in. They say they told her to drop the knife. She refused and advanced at officers. Police say they then hit her with a taser twice, but it didn't stop her. DPD says officers backpedaled, but she kept coming at them. And that's when 3 officers fired. They called for an ambulance and gave her medical care, but she later died. Denver Police Chief Ron Thomas says officers appear to have followed protocol here.
I believe so. And obviously we're going to have to interview those officers and other witnesses. I'm sure there's other video that we're going to have to review in order to make that ultimate determination. And ultimately, I think it's going to be the DA's decision whether or not the officers acted lawfully. But my belief is that the officers perceived a significant threat and responded to that threat.
Chief Thomas says it's unclear how many shots were fired. That will come out in the investigation. The shooting happened close by Samaritan House, a homeless shelter. Police say it wasn't immediately clear if the woman was unhoused. Her ID has not yet been released. Now, police say the investigation into today's shooting will be conducted by CBI, State Patrol, and DPD. All of it will be under the oversight of the Office of the Independent Monitor. And again, the DA's office will ultimately decide if these officers' actions today were lawful. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
Rachel, thank you. Also tonight, Commerce City police are investigating after a man shot and killed an intruder in his home. They said the intruder attacked the man in his home overnight. Police say the shooting happened on East 64th Avenue, about a mile away from I-25. And police tell us the man who lived in that house told officers he was hurt in an attack inside his home and that he shot the person who broke in. Police say they found the body inside the house and that the person who lived there shot the intruder and was seriously injured in the attack. Crews battling the Interlochen fire near Leadville said today's warm, dry weather increased some of the fire activity out there. So tonight that fire is still at 45% containment. Crews say more smoke was visible today thanks to hotter temperatures. But the good news is they say their containment lines are holding up. So far, the fire's burned about 600 acres. And the U.S. Forest Service said it was lightning that caused a small different fire burning in Douglas County. The Bear Creek fire is burning about 14 miles northwest of Castle Rock. Officials say the fire is about 3 acres in size. They have hand crews and helicopters out working to put out the flames. In California, a 12,000-acre wildfire is forcing many to evacuate their homes tonight. The fire's been burning since late last night in San Bernardino County. Unclear what caused this fire. As of tonight, they only have it 5% contained. Now let's bring in Lauren Robinson because we knew it was going to be hot, dry, and windy, and it was, in fact, hot, dry, and windy today.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we're in for another day for our Monday. But the good news is, especially for anyone out fighting those fires, is Tuesday and Wednesday is looking much cooler. Then we have several chances for showers and storms through the end of the week. Right now, we're taking a look at our HD Doppler radar, where the vast majority of us have stayed dry and hot all day long. But it's that time of year where that heat can pop up a nice little storm. So we did see a quick storm push up just southwest of Denver. It pushed its way through the metro, now making its way through areas like Sterling. You can see lots of lightning there, and we're going to continue to monitor that as it moves its way out of Colorado and into the Nebraska Panhandle. It's not looking severe, but it is dropping a lot of rain, lots of lightning and thunder, quite the light show there, and maybe even some pea-size hail. Now that's going to continue to move on out. Before that, though, we did see some very warm weather. We made it to 90 degrees at DIA. Most of the Front Range and Eastern Plains saw 90s. We did make it into some triple digits to the south. We stayed a little bit cooler to the north, and and that was due to some ridge blocking that actually hindered our ability to heat as much as we were anticipated. We were anticipating middle 90s in Denver today. We maxed out at 90, then areas to the north maxed out in the 80s. The high country saw those 70s and 80s as well. Then we were very hot out west. 99 was the high out in Grand Junction. Now, we maxed out at 80 or 90 degrees, but that is still about 10 degrees cooler than our record high for this day of 100 degrees set just a couple years ago in 2021. So we do have another hot day in store for you tomorrow. I'll have details on all of that, plus several storm chances in my 7-day forecast.
Lauren, thank you. Tonight, Aurora police say 11 people went to the hospital after several cars crashed on South Parker Road. Happened around 4 o'clock tonight. Aurora police say a driver was headed northbound on Parker Road. They caused a crash with 4 other cars. Police think the driver was speeding. That driver and his passenger have serious injuries tonight. We do not know about all those other people who went to the hospital, but police say their injuries were not serious. Also tonight, a child is in critical condition after a car crash started with a police pursuit this morning. It was a pretty confusing situation. Police say it started early this morning, about 4 a.m., when the driver of an SUV flagged down paramedics near 45th and North Peoria in Montbello. When the paramedics got there, the SUV sped off. Paramedics told police the driver's side window looked like it had bullet holes, so DPD got involved, but then said, again, the driver took off, so they chased him. Police eventually used a pit maneuver to stop that car. The car crashed, and the driver took off running. 6 other people inside the SUV went to the hospital. Police say the driver later showed up at the hospital and told police that earlier in the morning there had been a fight and someone shot at his car. A woman inside the car was hurt during that earlier fight, and then a child who was not buckled in was seriously hurt during that later crash with police. 2 people are in the hospital tonight after a small plane crashed just off I-25 this morning. This happened near the Larkspur exit. The Douglas County Sheriff's Office says the plane hit a highway sign, then landed in a nearby field. Several Douglas County and state agencies responded to that crash. Officials say 2 people on board were on board. We do not know how badly hurt they were, but we know they were hurt. Tonight, the Sheriff's Office says that investigation is still in its early stages.
Now the question is for investigators, what was the pilot doing that low that they clipped a road sign? Was the pilot trying to make an emergency landing and just incidentally hit the sign? Or were they actually doing something that they weren't supposed to be illegally, flying over the highway and struck that sign?
The FAA and the NTSB are now investigating the cause of that crash. It's also been now little more than 2 weeks since a different small plane crashed in someone's yard in Arvada. That plane left the Centennial Airport, headed for the airport in Broomfield, when it made an emergency landing right in front of somebody's house. There were 4 people in that plane. 1 of them died. Both of these crashes happened in public places, but somehow still avoided injuring anyone on the ground.
Pilots are trained to handle emergencies. And while some pilots, and in some cases, these pilots may be criticized for some of the actions or decisions they made, the fact is that no one on the ground was injured at all in either of these accidents.
The NTSB is also still looking into that Arvada crash. Coming up this week, a former Denver sheriff's deputy accused of a hit-and-run crash on New Year's Day is set to be arraigned. Jeremiah Espinoza Young was driving on Tower Road in Aurora around 3 a.m. when he crashed his car into a concrete barrier, then left it there. Hours later, he called Aurora police saying his car had been stolen in Denver, and he filed a report. Documents say he later confessed, told police he was driving home when he fell asleep at the wheel and crashed his car. Espinoza is now facing several charges, including false reporting and leaving the scene. His arraignment is set for Tuesday morning.